Are you preparing for the ECBA certification exam? Then you are at the right place. Watch this video till the very end. In this video, I'm going to share with you a roadmap and a step-by-step process so that you can prepare for the ECBA exam in a more efficient and effective way. Trust me, this approach has saved many hours for preparation for the ECBA exam. My name is Abhishek Shrivastava. I have 29 years of IT industry experience into business analysis and project management. I'm also a CBAP certified professional. I'm an author and a trainer in the fields of business analysis and project management. So let's start with a quick introduction about ECBA. ECBA is the entry-level business analysis certificate awarded by International Institute of Business Analysis, Canada. It is meant for people who are transitioning into a business analyst role or who are very new to business analysis. ECBA certificate is well recognized, especially since it's coming from IIPA. So adding the ECBA certificate to your profile makes your profile more trustworthy for the employers. So let's get started by looking at the roadmap and an effective way to prepare for the ECBA certification exam. It will save you a lot of time. Instead of going through the entire book, which is recommended for the ECBA exam. So here is the step number 1. You first start with understanding the scope of study, which is BA-BOK or Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. That is a book which is published by IIPA. That book provides all the study material which is to be used not only for ECBA but CCBA and CBAP exams as well, which are the senior level business analyst certifications. The good news is that you don't need to study the entire study material, which is BABOK, as I mentioned earlier. Now, for the ECBA exam, here is what is the syllabus. As per IIBA website, the syllabus contains these many chapters comprising of 100% of the weightage. Please note, few of the chapters have 0% weightage for the ECBA exam. So I have not included those. Now, if you have to read all the chapters, you have to read a number of pages, which is going to be pretty large. So what I suggest is this. So as you can see on the screen, I have picked up certain chapters which together cover 92.5% of the syllabus, which means you can cover close to 45 to 47 questions. And how many pages you have to read for that? Approximately 200. So out of approximately 500 pages in BABOK, this particular approach and the syllabus coverage only mandates you to read 203 pages. That way you can save a lot of time. So step 1 is to understand the scope and finalize these chapters. If you agree with me, you go ahead with this chapter. Why I am suggesting this is that over the years we have realized that even though the exam has 50 questions, the passing mark is approximately 60 to 65%, which means that if you can cover 45 to 47 questions, you still have a margin of 12 to 13 questions from the passing correct answers. So that is a good number of questions which you have as margin. Now let's go to step number 2. Now after you have finalized the scope, you now have to start looking at the chapters. So as you are planning to start with the chapters, I suggest you follow a simple approach. You go from the first chapter to the last chapter as indicated in the table. So the first chapter would be business analysis key concepts. Now let's go to step number 3. As you started to study the chapters, your objective should be to try and understand the chapter. And then you go and practice with the questions. So you must have access to a question bank which allows you to handle questions chapter wise. So every chapter, if let's say you have 20 questions, access to 20 questions, 30 questions, 40 questions, depending on that, you start practicing. The idea is that the questions should be clear to you while you are answering it. And you know why you are answering a particular question or why you are opting for one particular option. If you are just guessing and still getting good percentage of marks, that is not the correct way to look at the step number 3. In our question bank, which I'll talk about later, you are expected to score 70% on an average for every chapter and for all the tests. So you take a few tests, and if you're able to score 70% and above, that means you are fine. Else, you look at the answer, look at the explanation of the answer, and go back and check why did you get it wrong. Go through that section again so that you have a clarity in your mind. Now, step number 4. Now, in this step, basically you have to repeat step number 2 and step number 3 till you cover all the chapters as indicated earlier. So, you take chapter 1, you go through it, do the questions, go to chapter number 2, till the time for each chapter you are getting 70% on an average. This is from our question bank perspective. Every question bank may have a different benchmarking percentage. So now as you are completing step 4, which is an iterative step, you'll be finishing all the chapters. One important tip here, don't try to memorize Babok, as that is not going to be helpful at all. Questions are not memory based. No questions are like define something. Those kind of things are never asked in exam. So try and understand the concepts. Try to note down the key points, the key terms which are defined in Babok. Now, step number 5. So once you are done with all the chapters, now it's time to take the full-length simulation exams. So in case of ECBA, there are going to be 50 questions in the exam and it has to be done in 1 hour. So if you have a question bank access, you should be looking at least 3 or ideally 4 tests, 4 full-length tests. Now, in those tests also, you need to score 70% and above, or whatever is the benchmarking for that particular question bank. Now, if you are able to answer that questions with the proper understanding, you should have a lot of confidence that you'll be able to crack the ECBA exam. Now, another tip here. Once you are through with the 2 tests, 2 full-length tests, and you're still getting 70% and above, that means it's time to schedule your exam. So go ahead, go to the PSI website and schedule the IIBA exam. If you haven't paid the fees, go ahead, go to the IIBA website and complete the payment formalities. So these were the 5 steps which will ensure that 1, you are able to optimize your effort. Instead of reading 400 or 500 pages, you are reading 203 pages. That also narrows down your focus area. But still, there is no compromise on the coverage. You will still be able to cover 92.5%. So let me share a few more tips with you. Please remember, consistency is very important. Once you have planned and started to go about preparing for the exam, you need to be consistent about your study plan. So when you're making the study plan, please remember that you have to make the plan based on your work-life pattern in the current period. If you are getting 2 hours per day, it's fine with you. If it's 1 hour just per day, you should plan for 1 hour only. Don't try to hope that you'll be able to deliver or devote 2 hours. That will be very frustrating in the long run. Number 2, reading and understanding Babok is not easy. It's written in a language which is not easy to grasp. So if you're planning for the exam preparation, don't try to think that you can finish Babok in 2 weeks' time. That is not going to happen. Especially if you're new to business analysis or you haven't read a textbook for a long time. Most of us or most of you might have done your university exams a few years ago. So plan an approach which will allow you to go through Babok, maybe 10 pages a day, and then you can increase it later once you get a hang of it. One last exam tip. Now it's a proctored exam. So what happens is in the initial period, you have to go through certain checks. So the proctor will check your room, your table, below the table, over the head, all of that. That takes around 15 to 20 minutes. So be ready for that. And also remember, if somehow, for whatever reason, your network connection gets lost. Don't worry, you can restart the exam. The only problem is you have to redo the entire check again. But nothing to worry about, you can restart the exam. Proctors are helpful that way. So this was my suggestion, my approach to help you prepare for the exam in a more efficient way. Now, before I end, let me tell you about our ECBA training program, which also comprises of a question bank. Now, we have been helping many aspirants and learners to become business analysts and also crack ECBA certification exam. Now, here are a few things about our courses. One, our courses which are meant for business analysts have industry relevant BA techniques like prototyping, process modeling, UML modeling. So our ECBA program contains these techniques. It also has coverage of tools like Jira, like MS Visio, and even a prototyping tool. We also cover documentation part of it. For example, preparation of SRS. What are the elements which are part of the SRS document? Also, most importantly, we have 2 class projects and 1 course project so that you can really apply whatever you have learned and also see how things work in a real life project. This has been very, very helpful to many BA aspirants. And last but not the least, we also provide a question bank which has 1,000+ questions, which includes chapter-wise as well as full-length tests. In fact, there are 7 full-length tests. So, if you are preparing for the ECBA exam, I hope you have got the right inputs to prepare for the ECBA exam. I wish you all the best.